Oh yeah, we back in the building, you guys. You know who this is. We back. Oh man, what's up, guys? It's your boy Walterdoom here for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. You know, we got the homie Chucky here. Chucky, give him a laugh one time. And yeah, man, this is the podcast where we focus talking about any and everything that is related to the horror genre, man. So yeah, you guys, I'm back. Sorry it's taking a little bit longer than usual, but I'm here with you guys today. We got a lot to talk about right now. I got a lot to talk about. But yeah, first off, coming up on today's show, we got news, the latest and greatest news about things that's happening with the genre of horror. You know, things like the It trailer. Talking about the latest Child's Play news. We also got news about Amazon Prime and what movies they're releasing for the coming month of June. And also, we're also going to be talking about the Into the Dark series and their extended series for Father's Day. Yeah, man. But not only that, after that, we're going to be talking about Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile. I'm gonna review that movie for you guys to talk about my experience with it. We're gonna see if that movie actually sucked. And after that, we got you guys' meme of the week and must-watch movie of the week also. But first off, how y'all doing today? I hope you guys are good. I know I've been gone for a while. I was on a good little streak, wasn't I, for a moment, where I was releasing an episode each week. But as usual, you know, life gets in the way. We all got lives to live. You know, I got my own life to live. Shit going down. But yeah, man, a couple of things happened to me, man. So just recently, my TV went out, which was like crazy for me. I had this TV for like a very long time, man. I maybe had it like since maybe 2008, 7 or 8. And the funny thing about this is that the funny story is this is one of the first few flat panel television sets that first came out around that time. And it's a nice little 32-inch Vizio, man. Yeah, that shit is real nice. The funny thing is that the first time when I bought it, the TV actually went out within a month. So it literally broke within a month. I ended up shipping the TV back to Vizio and got a replacement TV, which was pretty much refurbished. Now, the TV that just went out, this is the refurbished one. Now, mind you, this is probably like 2007, 8, and it goes out like about a couple of months. Now, when I got the refurbished, I didn't really hook it up right away. I didn't even plug it in because I was worried all electrical shit about it and whatever. But when I finally started like using it, it literally had to been like maybe a good couple of months before I started using it again. So for it to go out now, it's just surreal right now. What does this got to do with anything? Well, one, now it's kind of difficult to watch movies now. And trying to make content for you guys. But I mean, luckily for me, you know, we're in the age of internet where now you really don't really need a TV, but it feels good watching things on a television set and what have you. And it just gives you that kind of like that real movie feeling. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I couldn't believe that went out on me. But hey, I mean, things don't last forever. But anyway, so welcome to the show, you guys. Had to rant for a little bit. But let's start with our first segment that we haven't done for a while, because I want to talk about this movie that I watched recently on Amazon Prime, which actually is accompanied by the Shudder subscription service. So right now we're going to jump into a segment called Bird Box or Nah, where I talk about a movie and just talk about the little nuances of things that I liked and what I didn't like. And I will give you guys my ultimate conclusion, whether you should bird box it, meaning that you should skip it and not watch it, which will be accompanied by this sample right here.
Listen to me. I'm only going to say this once. Under no circumstance are you allowed to take off your blindfold.
Or if it's a nah, which means you shouldn't bird box it and that you should really check it out, which will be accompanied by this sound.
Look at this. Isn't it beautiful? Look.
Gary, please don't do this.
Show the baby. Show the baby.
No, Olivia. You're so bad.
Alright, so now let's just get into the movie. The movie that I just saw recently on Shudder is a Shudder original. It's called You Could Be the Killer. And this movie stars Alyson Hannigan, who played Lily on How I Met Your Mother, and she was also the band camp girl. Like, if there's anything you gotta remember about this chick, is that she was on American Pie, and that shit is still a classic. I swear, it's still a running joke with me and my friends too, about like that one time in band camp. I mean, seriously, that movie really shaped my teenage life in so many ways. My goodness, it also had to been the first time. Who's that chick that showed her breast on there? I can't remember her name, but man, those things were like must-watch movie TV for me when I was young. Oh shit! So in the movie, You Could Be the Killer, it's starring Alyson Hannigan, like I said, and Franz Kranz, who plays Sam, which is the main character. And in this movie, what happens is it's kind of like a parody of many like horror slasher films that deal with camp. There's a lot of Jason references in the movie, especially when Alyson Hannigan's character, who plays Chuck, she pretty much tries to coach Sam on who could be the killer. And what she gives is like a bunch of scenarios of someone that could be like Jason. So in this movie, pretty much the premise surrounding this movie is basically Sam is trying to find out who's this killer that's terrorizing the camp that he works at. A couple of things I want to mention that I liked about this movie. What I liked was like literally, like I mentioned earlier, was all the horror references, especially the not so famous ones, which was pretty interesting also to hear. Like when Alyson Hannigan's character talks to Sam and he's on the phone with her, and she asks him like, what does the killer look like? And he just tells her like the killer is ugly. She makes a reference of, is he Jason Voorhees ugly or is he Matt Cordell ugly? Now, I didn't know who Matt Cordell was because I have never seen that movie which was mentioned. But he was in the movie Terror Dome. And I haven't seen Terror Dome. I don't know if it's even on Amazon Prime or anything like that, but yeah, when I saw what he looked like, I was like, damn, that dude is ugly. And he really is ugly. I mean, you guys should definitely Google him up. But yeah, I do like the references that they do in the movie. I also like the gore in this movie. I mean, for a movie that's like really kind of funny, which this movie is a comedy, by the way. I mean, it's like, it shouldn't be taken that serious as far as like the acting, because the acting was definitely subpar. But I feel like the ones that were really, I like their acting, was maybe the supporting cast of characters. And I just felt like they just didn't get enough like dialogue, I feel like, to kind of bring some more drama into this movie. I did like the gore in this movie. It's very interesting when you see this shit too. One of the characters named Brad, he's kind of like a muscle bound dude. His character was played by Patrick Walker, and it was interesting to see, like, that dude was very interesting, I should say. Like, he was just like your regular typical, you know, strong guy, tough guy. I mean, there's a lot of tropes that they use in this movie. You definitely see. But what was interesting to see was the kills, like I said. And Brad, when he got killed, it was in the most vicious way possible. I mean, throughout the movie, you get to see Brad. He's trying to take the fight to the killer, which no one knows who the killer is, neither does Sam. I mean, we eventually learn Sam is the killer in this movie, which is a spoiler, by the way. It's not really much of a spoiler because we learn who the killer is within 12 minutes of the movie. And actually, if you're very observant about what's going on, the many times I rewatched it, I mean, you could have figured out who the killer was like in the first 5, honestly speaking. But yeah, so you see Brad, he's trying to chase down Sam, him and Jamie, and what ends up happening to Brad is that he gets his arms cut off in the most vicious way possible. So Sam is trying to destroy the mask, which is the source of why he's killing everyone. But then, soon as he tries to fight the urge of putting his mask on, the mask finally compels him and kind of starts forcing him to go back on the killing spree that he was on. So it ends up like cutting Brad's arms off when Brad is trying to sneak up on Sam to try and take him out. And as soon as Brad tries to kind of take down Sam, he ends up getting his arms chopped off, which was very gruesome. But yeah, there was definitely more kills that was in there that was just like this Brad killing. You know, that was a little bit more crazy. Like the one character, Ted, he got his head split open by Sam, which was like one of the first few kills. This other character named Carol, she had her head smashed into the fridge and what have you. The gore was definitely interesting. Couple of things that I hate though. Let's get into that. Alright, couple of things that I hated. Definitely, like I said, it's a comedy, but it doesn't give you an excuse to write a bad story / dialogue. And most of Sam's lines, I felt, were just very cringy at most sometimes. And it's just like, for someone that's really trying to like not be the killer or trying to figure out who's the killer, which in my opinion, I mean, we already know that he's the killer, but it's like, how are you trying to convince the audience that it might be someone else? Which this movie doesn't do. It doesn't try and like really give you a thought that maybe someone else is the killer. It doesn't at all. which also, the story does get predictable, especially after you figure out that Sam is the killer and what have you. I mean, like I said, you can figure out who it is in the first 5 minutes of the movie if you're really observant or you really know horror movies like that. I mean, I figured out it was him by like the first 12 minutes of the movie before he actually mentioned it and said like he's not sure if he's the killer or not. Which is another thing. It's like, I didn't like the fact that he was supposed to not be the killer, or he didn't even know that he was the killer, I should say. But then now all of a sudden he's starting to get memories of himself doing the killings. And it's kind of confusing because I'm just like, okay, if this mask is really putting him in another consciousness, shouldn't he not remember any of the killings at all? Like, why is he now remembering the killings now than he did before? I just thought it didn't make any sense. Like, I didn't think, like, that was properly executed to where it had me convinced, like, oh, well, maybe he's losing consciousness. Because now, to me, it feels like, at a certain point, he's definitely very conscious about who he is and who he's killing. Especially when after he kills Carol, which is supposed to be like his earlier kills. Like, how is it that he remembers that little bit of consciousness, but he couldn't remember the other people that he killed, the other counselors? You know, how does he not remember that he was killing Steve, the Kayak King, which is what they call him in the movie? Like, how does he not realize that? I don't know. I just thought that was really off to me about, like, the whole memory and when he remembers and when he couldn't remember. Another part of the story that I didn't really care, well, not care for, but wish they could have probably used as more of an exploration. So in this movie, he has like a love connection, which I like that they kind of explore the whole interracial thing, well, interracial relationship and what have you. And yeah, they had like a character named Imani, who was played by Brittany Hall. And man, I gotta say, she was hot. Yeah, I just felt like they could have used his breakup with her, because they had a relationship during the last summer, but it was more of a fling for her than for him. You know, he was looking at it as more as like a relationship where she was just looking like, hey, I just got a boyfriend for the summer and that's it. But I feel like they could have used that as a motivation for him trying to kill the counselors than more of the max possession, losing consciousness, and what have you. I mean, actually, what they could have did if they wanted to stick with the mask, they could have used the mask as his, I guess, the mask bringing out his real thoughts about how he felt about Imani and the other counselors. I felt like they could have used that as more motivation than anything. But I don't know. They stuck to the whole mask and all that other nonsense. And then the final girl situation. I mean, I get that there's always a final girl, but man, they really was. It was a trip dealing with like who the final girl was, and that whole thing got a little messy. I don't want to spoil it for you, but they do have a twist with that, which I did like. But yeah, other than that, I mean, my final consensus for this movie.
Look at this. Isn't it beautiful?
No,
Look.
Gary, please don't do this.
Show the baby. Show the baby.
No, Olivia. You're just so bad.
Don't bird box that shit. Actually, check it out. It's definitely a decent watch. It's on Amazon Prime. So yeah, man, if you want to check it out, you could be the killer. Check that movie out. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, you guys, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the latest news.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Alright, guys, we are back. And let's talk about some news that's been hitting for a while. Man, I swear, it's been a lot of great news that's been coming out lately. A lot of promos that are dropping, a lot of trailers and shit like that. Just recently, we had the It Chapter 2 trailer. And I gotta say, man, this movie looked like it's going to be amazing. I swear. Like, that whole Mrs. Cursing, that shit is so creepy. I swear. I mean, and honestly, I don't know anybody who hasn't seen this trailer yet. But if you haven't seen it, check that shit out. I mean, it's been out for like a couple of weeks now. It's no reason why you shouldn't have checked it. Yeah, according to the writers for It Chapter 2, they said this one was going to be a lot more gorier than the first one. I can't wait to see that. I mean, I'm all for the gore. I mean, it's like watching Terrifier and stuff and shit like that. Oh, now here's something funny. So, I was looking at this meme the other day. And it had Pennywise and it had Terrifier. Well, Art the Clown, I should say. So, the meme said, this fucker, which was Art the Clown, makes this fucker, which was Pennywise, look like Mickey Mouse at Disneyland. I believe that's how it went. And it was so funny to me because the first thing I was like, damn, that is true. Art the Clown has got to be the most violent clown right now. I mean, that's the clown you actually should fear. I don't get how anybody could be afraid of Pennywise. But, you know, that's the movie, man. It was funny also. I seen this couple of videos on YouTube which are also funny. And it was this dude. It was like basically if Georgie was black. So what was happening in this video was Georgie had a basketball and his basketball went down the sewer. And of course, you know, like the usual in the movie, Pennywise shows up. And it's funny how like black people in like videos and all that, they use them as more of a breaking the fourth wall or kind of like the insightful person that knows what happens in horror movies, so they're not going to do stupid shit. So Pennywise was getting like super frustrated. He was just like, you have got to be the most hard-headed ass nigga. And just all that other stuff. Man, it was hilarious. But what ends up happening at the end of the video was Pennywise was like, hey, I got 2K. And that was like the deal breaker right there. Like, that's how you get black dudes convinced. Just tell them it's 2K, and we're like, what? And set apart, I mean, how many activities have I stopped doing just because of fucking 2K? I gotta say, that shit is real. But it was funny because Georgie was like, which one you got? Xbox or PS4? And he said both. And that was like, it was game over. Black Georgie is being taken by Pennywise. Oh, man. It's so crazy, man. But, yeah, I can't wait till this new It movie drops. That should be coming out in, I believe, September. So, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to check out. But moving on from that movie to a movie that's really getting its promos as of late, because it's about to drop next month. And we talking about the little homie Chucky, man. Chucky, what you gotta say?
Don't fuck with the Chuck.
Yeah, man. So, of course, as you guys know, I mean, the TV spots for Child's Play has dropped. They had some behind the scene videos that came out also. Some of this stuff I seen on Instagram, some of this stuff I seen on YouTube. What happens in these commercials is that we get more of an understanding how they're have Chucky come to life in the movie. They're basically using a combination of animatronics and digital graphics, as I mentioned before in another podcast. Couple of things that I gotta say. Now, I believe in the last podcast, or whichever one that was, when I was talking about the doll, because they actually showed what the doll looked like, I was relatively positive, mainly optimistic about it. But after seeing more and more looks of this doll, that's kind of changed a bit. I am not really sold on this doll anymore. I don't know, man. I mean, it makes sense. The doll is supposed to be a creepy looking doll. But it's not really creepy in a sense of, oh my god, I'm gonna be scared of this doll. It's more creepy as in, like, what the hell were they thinking kind of creepy. And I don't know, man. I'm really not liking the look of Chucky at this moment. He looks too cartoony to me. I mean, he looks like, and let me bring back to a reference of 2K. If anybody plays, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys don't play that shit, but it's kind of like when they're making like a character, like a rookie or something like that, and you know, they haven't face skinned the rookie or anything, and they just give him like this generic look and face and all that. Man, that's how Chucky looks. He looks like a very cartoony, generic looking doll, and it doesn't seem like, I don't know, it just looks weird. It looks very weird to me. I mean, I saw like all the different facial features that they were giving him, and I didn't really like it all that much. Like, I guess because I'm used to the old Chucky, you know. I'm too used to the OG look of Chucky, to the point like now it's like embedded in my brain, and it's like that connection each time I'm thinking about Chucky. I can't stop but thinking about Brad Dourif's Chucky over Mark Hamill's Chucky. And all these different promos that we get from Orion and the studio that's making Chucky, we get to hear more and more of what Chucky is gonna sound like, good and evil. And I gotta say, I'm not even sold on how Mark Hamill is voicing Chucky at the moment. I don't know. It's just something about the voice that doesn't sound very authentic, or it doesn't come off as like a doll talking or anything like that. I mean, I get it's supposed to be a killer robot, and that its consciousness is going to hack like everything electronic, because everything now is programmed through a cell phone. But at the same time, I'm just almost not sold on the doll itself. And that's probably been my main issue with this new movie that's about to drop, is that I'm completely not really sold on the doll. Now, I believe that the acting is going to be really good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Brian Tyree Henry, Gabriel Bateman, Audrey Plaza. I mean, those are no lightweights. I really do feel like this is going to be a well-acted movie. The script, I'm still kind of iffy on the story. I mean, apparently through one of the leaks about Andy, because, you know, it's supposed to be an older Andy who gets a Chucky doll, and the mom apparently gets the doll for him so he could kind of like stop being isolated in his own little world or whatever. But I don't know, just something about the story itself. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting take. I just want to see how it plays out. But I'm just not sold on the doll. And we see in these new commercials, I mean, you get to see like how he looks when he becomes evil. His eyes light up red, which I just think is very gimmicky, to be honest. I mean, it's like, do we really need to make his eyes red to prove that he's in evil stage Chucky? Because you guys really didn't need to do that with the OG Chucky. I mean, we knew when he was on his evil tip. You know, we didn't really need that. But with this one, we're going to see him, I guess, because, again, it's supposed to be a robot, and I get all that. Like, you know, this is Robo Chucky. And he's supposed to be, I guess, learning and adapting and becoming, like, I don't know, human or some shit like that. Who knows? Whatever. But we'll see when it comes out June 21st. I mean, I'm still going to check it out. I don't know if I'm going to check it out first week. But I'm definitely checking that movie out. Again, I'm just like not really sold on the doll, as I keep saying so many times. I just feel like the doll design could have been a lot better, in my opinion. I mean, like I said, the old Chucky, it was modeled after My Buddy dolls, man. Which is why My Buddy's doll scared the shit out of me when I was a kid, because I was scared of Chucky. So to see a fucking doll like that almost resembles Chucky, that shit's freaky when you're a kid. It's like if a lot of the Toy Story toys just come to life and you actually see them come to life. That shit will freak you the fuck out. But, oh, another thing that I didn't really like about this new Chucky, he is a lot smaller than the old one. And it just, everything about him seems weird. Like, the hands look weird. He's a little bit smaller also. I just feel like Brad Dourif's Chucky is definitely something special and that we shouldn't take for granted now that we're getting like a remake without him or Don Mancini also. And just we gotta really appreciate like the legends, man. Because just to see this new Chucky, it doesn't give me the creeps of, damn, this is a scary ass doll that could kill me. It's more of a, ew, what is this doll? It looks like a arts and crafts project gone wrong, man, on so many levels. But yeah, I'm definitely checking it out, like I said. But speaking of the legends, man, Voorhees dropped a second trailer, my boys and girls, if there's any girls listening. But yeah, Voorhees came out with another trailer. Let's hit that Jason sound one time. Yeah, man. And right now, they do have a release date, September 13th, man. So, as you guys know, it's a fan fiction film made by Wet Paint Studios. And I talked about this like some time ago. But this movie is going to be centered around some thieves who are looking for a getaway. And where that getaway is Camp Crystal Lake. And while out in Camp Crystal Lake, oh man, they're gonna run into our favorite mama's boy, man. Yep. So yeah, a couple of positives. I do like the look of Jason. I mentioned this before. Jason does look like Jason. I swear, whoever did the makeup for him did a really good job in making that. It looks like also there's going to be some bodies piled up based on like how many characters I've seen appear in the trailer. It seemed like it's going to be just a bloodbath of people dying and slashed up. Another thing is that I'm hoping with this movie it's something like Never Hike Alone. And the reason why I say that is because of how well produced that movie was. Like for some of you guys who probably haven't watched it, but I talked about this in the last podcast that Never Hiked Alone really is the bar and standard for what a fan film should be made. I mean, unfortunately right now, we can't get really a Jason movie because of the open court case dealing with ownership of the franchise. And I believe LeBron James, he has a hand in actually trying to own the franchise itself, which should be interesting. But yeah, for right now, we don't really have like a real Friday the 13th movie. And we haven't had one for like quite a few years, a bit now. I didn't watch the last Friday the 13th movie that came out, even though it's on Netflix and all that. I'm gonna check that out real soon. But lately I've been watching like the old ones on Amazon, which is very interesting to see. I watched Friday the 13th Part 3, which is always fun to watch. Yeah, that movie, I almost forgot how crazy that one was. And how crazy the kills on that movie were. Because we're used to like the other Jason movies being kind of slow paced and built up a bit with the story. At least for the first one it was. The second one, I mean, I remember Jason with a hacky sack and all that. Third one, like I thought, he had the hockey mask. That's when he got the hockey mask, man. And that was cool to see. But a couple of negatives about this Voorhees trailer. I'm kind of like wondering what the gore is going to be like. I mean, yeah, there's going to be bodies piled up, like I mentioned, but what's the gore going to be like? Because if you guys notice in one of the clips, like Jason's machete, it has blood on it, but the blood doesn't look very like, drippy. It looks very, I don't know, like plastic, or just like, it looks really fake. I didn't like how that looked. I just thought that was like a very ugly look for them to have that, What also was kind of annoying also was that they were using the same song that was used in the Joker trailer. I don't know if you guys seen the Joker trailer, which is going to be starring Joaquin Phoenix, but they were pretty much using the same track in this trailer as they did with the Joker movie. So I don't know, man. I didn't get why they did that. That was so weird to me. But I mean, I really don't have much negatives about it. I mean, I really am excited that now there is a date for it. So I'll be looking out for that movie once it drops. Hopefully it's like all the other fan fiction films that dropped, and it drops on YouTube. So if it drops on YouTube, I'm definitely checking it out on there. But yeah, I can't wait till that drops. But speaking of things that we can't wait to drop, we all know that I've been ranking the Into the Dark series from best to worst. As you guys know, our favorite family serial killer movie, Flesh and Blood, is the worst one ranked yet. My God, I didn't really like that movie at all. I mean, it was just terrible. It was terrible acting. It was terrible. It was a terrible story. And I just felt like it could have been a lot better than what it was. But anyway, we got another family type horror. You know, this one is for Father's Day. This one is called They Come Knocking. And it stars Clayne Crawford and Josephine Lakeford, just to name a couple of people who are in the movie. And it is directed by Adam Mason, who did I'm Just Fucking With You. So he comes back and directs another film for the Into the Dark series, which is this one. So the premise is based on a guy losing his wife to cancer. And after he loses his wife, he decides to take a road trip with his 2 daughters. But in this road trip, they kind of jump into crosshairs of supernatural entities terrorizing them. Now, as you guys know, I usually try and make predictions for these films before they come out. But it's usually aided by like a trailer that drops with the film. And this movie hasn't had a trailer with it yet. I mean, there were screenshots and what have you. What do I think could be the biggest thing that could happen in this film? Speaking out loud to myself. For you guys that are confused. Well, based on like just the premise alone, they're being terrorized by spiritual entities. And what I could think the spiritual entities are, the supernatural entities are, they gotta be someone probably like related to his wife who recently passed. And I mean, even though she passed from cancer, I mean, who knows what the relationship was like, because somehow, someway, that it had to take a dark turn somewhere. So, yeah, they could probably be doing something kind of like Conjuring, or, well, not Conjuring, but more like Insidious, maybe. I don't know. And I guess the big twist of it all could be a family member who didn't like him. They're trying to terrorize him. I don't know. We'll see once the trailer comes out. That should be interesting. But that movie drops on June 7th. I swear, like, it seemed like the Into the Dark series, they're trying to get better and better each week. I mean, hopefully this one is not as goofy. I mean, it shouldn't be as goofy as I'm Just Fucking With You, because that one was definitely for April Fools. So it was more comedy laden, or black comedy laden, than this one should be. I mean, this one should have more of like a serious tone. But the last one, the Mother's Day one, All That We Destroyed, that one was a real good movie. I actually liked it. You know, especially with the Roy Paranews character getting the Get Out treatment at the end. Well, the real ending of Get Out. So, yeah, it was good. It was a good film. I just thought that one was really, well made. But yeah, we'll see what this one is about. June 7th, coming soon. Also, more news, but this will probably be the last news besides talking about Chris Rock and how he's rebooting the Saw series. I wanted to talk about that, but it was like, why? I mean, I'm glad that Saw is actually getting a reboot. I don't know about Chris Rock doing it though. I mean, I guess in a way, since Jordan Peele is also a comedian, I didn't think Jordan Peele had a dark side to where he can make interesting horror movies. So I don't know, maybe Chris Rock has an interesting side to him and has a love for her, because I really am disappointed from that Jigsaw movie. I personally didn't really care for it that much. Probably one of the worst Saws there were. I mean, I wish they did a lot better with that movie and took very good care of it, but I mean, honestly speaking, there hasn't really been a really good Saw movie since maybe like Saw 4 or 5. Honestly speaking. I mean, after that, I mean, the other Saw movies, they are just like, I want to say smoke in the water, but maybe not the best analogy there is. But yeah, I'm glad that they're trying to reboot this series after that terrible Jigsaw movie. One thing I gotta say, I did like part 3. That one was probably like one of the strongest ones in the film besides the first one. But also, which one was it with the cop and he had to like take the life as Jigsaw for a little bit because they were trying to frame him? I think that one was, I believe, Saw 5? It's either 4 or 5, but either way, that one was interesting also. That was an interesting take that they did, you know, and trying to get that character to kind of like forget all about the Jigsaw case and stop obsessing over it. That one was good also. But yeah, I mean, Chris Rock, we'll see what Chris Rock does. But enough about Chris Rock. Let's focus on what is also on Amazon, which they just released their list of movies that they're coming out in June. And they got a whole list of like horror movies that they're dropping. The most notable ones that I'm trying to watch or check out or actually have seen, District 9, which I seen that's dropping out on June 3rd. An American Werewolf in London, that comes out June 30th. I have never seen that one. And other movies that I've seen also are Sleepy Hollow, that drops June 30th, and Silence of the Lambs, which also drops June 30th. Now, I gotta say, when I first seen Silence of the Lamb, I don't know, man. I mean, am I the only one that just thought it was like extremely sexual? Like everybody just wanted to have sex with Clarice. I don't know if it seemed that way, but it seemed that way to me. It was kind of like when I was watching Teeth and everybody was trying to fuck homegirl all the time. And just everybody was just so rapey about her. And it's like, why are all these people trying to rape her? Like, is this what we're doing now? We're trying to make men look that predatory? I don't know. I just felt like in Silence of the Lamb, a lot of people were trying to have sex with Clarice. It seemed like it, just based on like the conversation she was having with like each male character, or how they were ogling her or oogling or whatever you want to use. You know, they were staring her down a lot. What was funny was that one scene when she was talking to Hannibal Lecter, and that one dude, he acted like he was hurting himself, but instead this dude throws nut on her face. Like he threw semen on her face, and I was like, damn, that's disgusting. I mean, that has got to be the most disgusting thing that I have ever seen in a horror movie. Like, that just didn't involve with, like, someone's body parts being chopped off. You know? But yeah, all that comes out pretty soon. I swear, Amazon Prime is getting a lot better and better. And I feel like being more slept on each day. Because everybody is... I don't know why everybody is under the impression that Netflix is just so superior with their collection of movies that they have on there. And I mean, I just feel like sometimes Netflix is lacking, bro. Like, they really need to like step up their game a bit. What you think, Chucky?
Don't fuck with the Chuck.
Yeah, they just really need to step up their game. I really feel like if Netflix had all the movies that Amazon have, I'll be fine. I would definitely be fine with what they're doing. You know, you could charge me an extra, what's this shit at now? $12.99? It's like, geez, you raise up the prices and give me shit still. Like, come on now. But yeah, I wish they would get it together, man. I mean, I miss the old Netflix days, like I mentioned before, where I'll just be up late, having a drink, and just watching all the crazy B-horror movies on there. Or just some of the great movies that I usually didn't get a chance to see as a younger kid, man. But what are you gonna do? It's like 2K. Netflix don't listen to shit because they're busy making their own shit. But yeah. But anywho, that's pretty much the news for today. I'm gonna take another break real quick, you guys, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about our favorite Netflix original movie, Extremely Wicked.
Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum. Red rum.
Alright guys, so we are back now, and let's talk about Extremely Wicked, man. We had some time to let it marinate a bit. It's been out for quite a bit. Came out May 3rd on Netflix. I have an idea that everybody hates this movie. I mean, Jesus Christ. Was it really that bad? I don't know. I mean, my personal opinion, I actually really liked the movie. And yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest Ted Bundy movie, I should say. But, I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, for one, I mean, going into this movie, I already knew what I was going into. And I think that's what a lot of people had a problem with, was the consensus that the movie didn't focus on Ted Bundy's murders, which it really wasn't. It was more about the court case than anything else. And this is kind of like what I was mentioning in a couple of episodes ago when I was saying, okay, this sounds like a interesting Ted Bundy movie, but how much Bundy are we really getting? You know, are we actually going to see him in action committing these crimes? And unfortunately, I mean, for a lot of people who were looking forward to seeing all the gore and violence from Ted Bundy and his actions, we actually didn't get that at all. We only got, one little snippet of him, and that's about it. Now, honestly speaking, I mean, if anybody really wanted to see Ted Bundy doing the crimes that he was committing, you definitely gotta watch the 2002 Ted Bundy movie, which is still on Amazon. I'm telling you guys, Amazon is the biggest sleeper in the game right now as far as streaming. But yeah, definitely check that out. Yeah, there's no other movie I could think of that actually dramatizes his action. Also, if that movie doesn't do enough for you, or you're just not interested in Amazon at all, watch the Ted Bundy tapes. Still on Netflix. You don't have to travel far for it, and they really did stick to the cold hard facts about all the stuff that he was doing. And it's also very interesting. Also, I mean, it's still by the same guy, Joe Berlinger, I think. You know, he did the documentary also, well, the docu-series, and he did the Extremely Wicked film. Now, coming back to the Extremely Wicked film, here's some things that I actually liked about this film. I mean, yes, it's a dramatized version or a dramatized movie about Ted Bundy's life, dealing with his longtime girlfriend, Elizabeth Clover. Now, the thing is that with this movie, it was supposed to be more of a focus on Liz than anything, and seeing what actually living a life with Ted Bundy really was like for her, and to deal with all the different court cases, the women that were getting murdered, his lies, his manipulative behavior. I mean, this is basically what we were getting, was a life in her shoes. Because we've heard about Ted Bundy and his long-term girlfriend Elizabeth, but we really didn't get like the full story. Well, at least I didn't get the full story about her. I mean, apparently this movie is actually based on a book that she wrote, which is dealing with, like, or should I say, highlighting her life with Ted Bundy. And according to an article I was reading, I mean, it was a much, much darker relationship, you know, that was way more unhealthier than what we saw in the Zac Efron film. Now, to kind of get like a highlight of her life, it kind of puts you in that state of not really romanticizing Ted Bundy, because I feel like, you know, us horror fans, we kind of romanticize this guy a bit, knowing fully well that this man committed like the most heinous of crimes towards women over the years. I mean, he was just as much of a terrorist as the Zodiac Killer or John Wayne Gacy. So yeah, I mean, I like that the film kind of like gave us a look into her life. And it's crazy though, because she had alcohol problems. Like, she became an alcoholic, but I think that was already happening before Ted Bundy, if I could remember, because she was also in another unhealthy relationship before Bundy. And ironically speaking, I mean, the relationship she was in before was with a guy who ironically was charged for a felony. I forgot what the crime was, but he too ended up in jail. And this is actually Liz's baby daddy, you know, ex-husband, that I'm talking about. So, I mean, it ironic to see her actually go from one dysfunctional relationship, which, I mean, they don't really highlight this. This is also in the article I was reading. But she go from one dysfunctional relationship to probably the worst one of them all. You know? I mean, can you imagine being in her position? I mean, if I was her, I couldn't imagine being in a position like that. Or even having like a position where I was married to someone like Arlene Wuornos, you know? Or I want to say Lorena Bob, but I don't know if she was a murderer, but yeah. Just seeing, like, just being in that kind of dynamic and thinking about all the stress that will put you through. You get me? I mean, fortunate for her, she's been sober for like 10 years. 10 years. Now, let's really put that in terms of she still had issues with alcohol. Like, even after the Ted Bundy execution. 10 years is not a long time. I mean, we're in 2019. You know? So, you're telling me that she's been completely sober since 2009? I mean, I'm pretty sure it was some ups and downs and some trials and tribulations that came with it, but man, that's not very long. I mean, what was crazy in the movie also was, like, for a simple fact, the character who was playing, I don't know if she was like her sister or whatever, but it was crazy how, like, she kind of pointed out to Liz, like, hey, I'm having trouble with your daughter, asking me why you're sad all the time. Now, damn, that really hit some emotional feels right there for a moment. Because she just could not get over Ted, man. I mean, you could see how much of a hold he had on her, but this is like, you know, very minuscule at best, you know. I just feel like this movie, yeah, it's not the best Ted Bundy movie, but it is a pretty decent movie. Couple of things. I mean, I still feel like Zac Efron was a good pick for the movie because, like the real Ted Bundy, you know, they had to pick somebody that looked like not only just, I don't know, what's the word I want to look for, attractive, but also could actually pull in the chops of kind of looking crazy also, or like a serial killer. Well, not even a serial killer, but just, I don't know, someone that like kind of reminds him of a model in a way. I mean, I'm not all up in arms with Zac Efron's acting. I actually thought like there were some scenes that were a bit cringy. Like the scene where he was gonna get the death penalty and they told him like they wanted to give him that, and you see the camera pan to him, he's like, the death penalty? I really thought it was just a really awkward scene to see. I was like, wow, that was cringy. Or the scene where, like, after he has sex with Carol Ann in the jail, she tries to confront him about him still being in love with Liz and all that. And the way Zac Efron got angry, I mean, it seemed very cringy at best, because I'm just like, I'm not sold with how angry he sounds. But he did, when it came to like the scenes of reenactments, like all the stuff that we've seen in like interviews and what have you, I really thought that's where he shined best in acting. He really did like show some range, well, not real range, but it was believable in a way, because maybe because I already knew about the interviews or whatever. But I just thought those things where they were reenacting like television appearances, spots, and everything, those were really good. Something that I hated though was kind of like the pace of the movie. It did seem like they were trying to fit in a lot of stuff in this movie, and it seemed like they were really trying to push it as fast as possible. I mean, in that whole little hour and 40 plus minutes of this movie. Now, honestly speaking, I mean, I feel like this movie could have went like about 2.5 hours, maybe. And they could have spent more time kind of highlighting more from his life. Maybe even like giving us more scenes where he actually committed these acts. But I get like the movie, once again, is not really about him. He's just a co-star in this movie to the real person, which is Liz. Another thing that I didn't really care for that much was definitely Haley Joel Osment's character. I swear, dude, that dude seemed like an opportunist, you know, to try and like get Liz's attention away from Ted and everything. I mean, I get it. The dude is toxic, you know. But, you know, let her work on her own pace, you know. Have her build herself up, man. I mean, I didn't like the fact that dude was just kind of like coming in and just was like, all right, I got a broken female. Now it's time to put in work for this. This should be an easy catch. I don't know, man. I think that was just me by myself thinking about that Haley Joel Osment's character just seemed like someone that was just taking the opportunity. You know, just probably because he couldn't pull anyone else, but who knows. But yeah, I didn't care for that also. That too much. I would have to say though, I didn't really care for too much of the dramatized dialogue or the story that was being presented. Like I said, the pace was really definitely the problem. I felt like it could have been a lot more balanced if they probably just made the movie a little bit longer. But I don't know, they were trying to get this movie out probably as soon as the docuseries hit, so they're trying to get that out as quickly as possible. I don't know, I just feel like it was also kind of maybe somewhat overhyped from all the articles I was reading about this film, you know, because it was a hit at Sundance and people were liking it, and you know, it made me excited to see what this movie was about. But now actually watching it, I kind of get a different take on it now. I mean, I still like the movie for what it is. It seems like Twilight mixed with some serial killers. And I fucking hated Twilight, man. But this movie was definitely a dysfunctional Twilight that I could deal with. You know. But yeah, man. I don't know how you guys felt about Extremely Wicked. If you guys have a different opinion, I mean, let's put it in the comments, you know? Because I really thought the movie was well. Another thing I could think of that I didn't really care for was Jim Parsons' character. I swear, I feel like whenever I see him, all I think is Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. I still feel that same way now, even after rewatching it a couple of times. You know, Jim Parsons just feels like Sheldon off of Big Bang. I could tell you who I did like that was a bright spot. I mean, Lily Collins, she was alright. I thought her role was okay as Liz. But John Malkovich, I really like John Malkovich's role as the judge, who actually I felt like had a really budding rapport with Ted Bundy, just because of how brilliant his mind was as far as like trying to study law and trying to represent himself in a court case. Now, it's funny to me because, you know, one thing that like the movie didn't really the movie did kind of pointed it out was, but this was pointed out more into the documentary, how pretty much like Ted Bundy kind of sabotaged his court case by not siding with his lawyers. And if Bundy had actually sided with his lawyers, I mean, he could have just been spending life in prison. Really. But instead, he fought, man. He fought the whole way and ended up on death row. I mean, was he really contrite or had any regrets about that? I don't think so. I mean, it's just interesting to me that he would actually fight the whole way saying that he's innocent. Which is crazy because in the movie, when they brought Carol Durant to the stand, they were saying like, well, Ted's lawyers was saying, oh, well, the police wanted Ted's car to be the car and wanted him to be the suspect. And it made me wonder, like, man, were they trying to force Ted to be the guy doing all these crimes? I mean, we know in real life he did do that stuff because he actually confessed to it a few days before he went to the electric chair. And that's another thing. Speaking of the murders, you know how in the end, like, supposedly he cut that one woman's head off with a hacksaw? Well, I read an article and it actually said he actually didn't do that. He actually burned that woman's head off at Liz's place. That is crazy. Like, that man was sick beyond belief. Another thing that I feel like that didn't really get enough attention also, and again, I mean, I understand it's not his movie, but his family life, you know, and I feel like that always seems to go kind of overlooked in a way, because I feel like that's the source of why Bundy was Bundy. Because if you know anything about him, I mean, you would know that he was lied to by his mom. that she claimed him as his sister and that her parents was his parents. But Bundy ended up finding out, I think like around 14, that, you know, his mom was his mom. And I always feel like that always seems to go overlooked in like a lot of things. But yeah, I wish that was spent more time, or actually kind of like somewhat of a focus also in this story. But yeah, like I said before, it's only about Liz. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else I could really mention about this movie. I mean, Carol Ann, she was kind of awkward. I really wonder if she was really that awkward in real life, man. I really do. Because I just felt like some sort of cringiness whenever she talked, or like some weird, like, awkward personality. But yeah, man, if you guys want to see this movie, I mean, hopefully you guys checked it out. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments about what you felt about Extremely Wicked. Because yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys feel like, well, at least this forum I'm in, they feel like the Ted Bundy movie was extremely sucky. Oh man. And I'm like one of the 5%ers sitting there like, but I actually like this film. Oh man. But anyway, yeah, definitely leave your comments. Check it out on Netflix if you haven't checked it out. Right now we're about to take another break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the movie for the week and the meme of the week.
Wendy, darling, light of my life, I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
Alright, you guys, so here we are at the end of the show. As always, you know, I got your meme of the week, and I'm gonna have a couple of memes popping up for you guys because I keep running into good ass memes, and it's kind of hard to pick just one. So yeah, I'm gonna have these memes popping up for you. But the main meme that I really liked for this week was one about Freddy and Jason, and pretty much Freddy is dissing Jason, and what yeah, and it looks like something kind of like sort of like a rap battle type thing, or type situation. Yeah, all right, so here's the meme. So it's Jason and it's Freddy and Jason, and Freddy said, and mama boy here, he's big, he's dumb, he's slow, he's stupid, and he ain't got no sense of style. You got Jason looking at Freddy like, bitch, what? Oh man, it was a very hilarious meme. I actually really liked it. So yeah, that's your meme of the week. Like I said, I have other memes popping up for you guys, so you guys could take your pick on what memes you like. But also, for our must-watch movie for this week is Monster Party, which is also a Shudder original. And in this story, it's basically about a group of thieves trying to rob a house, basically, at their party. But one thing that they don't realize while stuck at this house, this is a group of recovering serial killers. Yeah, so it's very interesting when things take the turn for the worst. But yeah, check that out, Monster Party. You can check it anywhere where Shudder is available. Other than that, I'm out for the day. This is another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. I'm your boy Walterdoom signing out. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Peace. Alright, you guys. See you till next time.